Afternoon, Mark from The Lawnologist. Just thought I'd share with you my latest project. I'm in a large garden in mid-Suffolk. It's on really sandy soil, really sandy soil. And what that means is that the grass is just not coping that well. It's got the wrong type of grass down for a start. The lawn was renovated by somebody else, I think 18 months ago, a couple of years ago, and it's just not fared well at all. So it's down to me now to pick this up, to take on the project and to try and devise a lawn care program that's going to suit the soil profile, because ultimately if you don't get the soil profile and you don't work in harmony with that, if you don't get it right, then your lawn's never going to take and have any longevity in it. So let me just quickly show you via photos what we've got in a minute. But this lawn is full of weeds, more weeds than grass. We've got weed grass, we've got yarrow, we've got dandelion thistle, we've got bindweed, which is a pain in the bum, because that's a pain in the bum to get rid of. We've got creeping buttercup, we've got trefoil, we've got plantain, we've got the lot. So literally, if this was bingo, it'd be a full house. And it's my job to sort it out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to spin the camera around, quickly show you the garden from a distance, send some photographs of a close-up, and then be back again after the autumn once we've renovated it and see the change around. So this area here, this is going to be renovated in the autumn. If you look, we've got loads of weeds here. They're really pretty. There's clover, there's cranes beyond, there's all sorts going on. This area here is going to stay as a wildflower garden. There's cowslips in there, buttercups, daisies. It's really quite a nice area. And then that circular bit over there, that again is going to be renovated. So unfortunately, we're going to have to do something about the weeds in there today. But what a perfect example of a nice blend of a garden. Some wildflowers, some flowering weeds, and yet still parts that will be formal lawn. I think, guys, that's how it should be. Rather than no mow may, let's keep something permanently for wildlife and for insects. And let's focus on having a split, if we can, between a formal lawn and a wild lawn. Happy days. Good morning, Mark from The Lawnologist. We are here on site in Woodbridge on the world's sandiest soil and the world's weediest lawn, ready for the renovation. You may have noticed from the previous clips that we were, or that I was, trying to get on top of the weeds and try and get some life back into this lawn. Well, now you'll see from looking behind me that we actually have got some life back into this lawn, which is really important because it means that now the soil's got some nutrition and hopefully the microbiology is doing its thing, and we're starting to get some life above and below ground. There's been a bit of precipitation this morning. It's a little bit damp now, it's raining a little bit. So Johnny's behind me. He's now just air drying the lawn so we can cut it more efficiently. And then Simon's behind me there, and he's doing the same with the blower as well. I'm going to pop you on a time lapse because this is going to be an interesting one. The soil's different, the seed's going to be different, the outcome hopefully will be the same. But what we're aiming for at the end of this, and in a couple of months' time, is a full-bodied lawn that's a bit more resilient to the conditions than what it has been. So let's crack on and just see how we go. To give you a walkthrough on this lawn, it's a little bit different simply because of the gradient here. You look at that. I mean, you'll be mindful of the machinery you put on that because it could be quite dangerous, especially when you start thinking about Bertha, who weighs about 150 kilos. Actually, this area here was renovated previously, and this isn't in bad shape. There's Simon. Johnny behind me, walking up the hill. You can see that there is a bit of coverage of weeds still. We peeled this off a few weeks ago. We've worked on the moss. That's ready to be scarified out. And moving up the garden further to this point over here is another circular bit that's going to be more of a formal area. So, as I say, a bit of a challenge, but we love a challenge here. And stick on time lapse now, and we're going to crack on. So what you've just seen really is the first mow down to the crown, or there or thereabouts, and then the first pass of the Scarification. Now, what we're finding here with this lawn is because it's so sandy, and because it's literally more sand than anything else, and because it's damp also, is we're pulling out much more of the good stuff than we want to. So we're going to have a slightly more delicate operation here in terms of just how heavy we scarify, and it's finding that fine balance between scarifying enough and not too much. We don't want to pull out the good stuff. So first pass of the Scarifier complete. We're going to get the blower, blow it all up, tidy it all up, and mow again. It'll be a lot drier. We'll take it down further, closer to the crown, and then we'll scarify again. Because in the middle there's a lot of moss and a lot of weeds that have started to die off, but not quite dead yet, so we need to rip them out. So back on time lapse for the next stage of the renovation. So while Simon is busy blowing up the thatch on the major lawn over the front there, and Johnny's in the far corner aerating the bit under the trees, we're just going to do a little experiment with some shady seed. I've come to the formal part, the little circle, that is in just as bad a state as the rest of it. I've already given this a quick mow, but it's really claggy with damp moss and thatch. And we've got rid of most of the weeds, which is good. And this is a bit more denser than the first part of the lawn. However, it's going to get the same treatment, and we're faced with the same problems. The soil is just so sandy. So I've got to scarify this now and try and find the balance where I'm leaving the good stuff, pulling out the rubbish stuff, and not taking out too much at a time, because it's damp, because it's sandy, the roots aren't that strong, they're not that bedded in. Can very easily make a huge cock up and pull out good stuff, and that's the last thing we want to do. So I'm going to crack on with this. You'll be back on time lapse, and actually we're filming over there as well. This is just a little interlude to keep you in the loop as to how we work on different stages in this garden. So I'll catch you in a bit. Adios. So we're now on the second mowing after scarifying, so we're taking that existing grass even lower now. What that means is actually the lawn's a little bit drier, which means the grass is being cut better and more evenly now. When we first started, there was a bit of precipitation on the lawn, and we had to kind of deal with that by way of blowing it. So Simon's mowing, I'm mowing, we're taking it down another notch, we're going to scarify again, and then we'll take a view to work out as to whether it's worth aerating or another pass of the Scarifier. 50-50 at the moment, that's what we do, but back on time lapse for the next stage. So just a quick update on the little formal lawn. That's had one pass of the Scarifier, it's just been tidied up. It's quite mossy in that corner over there, so I'm going to do a little bit more over there with the Scarifier, but same issues. Got to be careful, very sandy, damp, might start pulling out the good stuff. Johnny and Simon behind me over there are now sort of tidying up the main lawn. That's had two passes of the Scarifier, and I think we're just going to do a bit more localised scarifying, but that'll be ready for aeration pretty soon. So far things are going to plan. The sun's coming out. We're just waiting for our delivery of top dressing. We've got about a ton of that coming, and then we should be taking Brian out the van ready to top dress, but not before we seed. Now, talking of seed, quite interesting what I'm going to do on this lawn, because it's such a strange sandy soil profile. I'm going to do two types of blend of seed. I'm going to mix in a shady mix, which is mainly fescue and Poa trivilis, along with a ryegrass mix. My theory is that should give us a nice resilient lawn. The fescue should thicken and gap fill, which will then outcompete the weeds, and the ryegrass should give it a nice colour. The key to success with this lawn, as with any lawn, but especially with this lawn, is hydration. Once we've done the renovation, hydration is going to be key, because it's so sandy, when our client waters, if you're not doing it for long enough, the water's just going to go past the seed and further down. So it's got to keep that seed consistently moist for it to absorb the water, to swell and to germinate. That's the key. This is more important here than any other lawn I've worked on. So I want to switch you back to the other camera now, and we're going to continue the process. Adios. Right, so here we are. Simon's now aerating with Bertha. Fracture time. We were just checking the depth of the tine penetration, and we're looking at about 1.5 to 2 inches, which is absolutely perfect. I don't think this has ever been aerated, this lawn. It's certainly not scarified before. Anyway, what we've done so far: 3 passes of the scarifier, back down to the crown. We managed to get some stripes into it. Don't know why you bother, but I like to do it because it looks tidy. And we are now ready for aeration and finally overseeding with the seed blend we've put together for this lawn. Simon's going to aerate as we normally do in a herringbone fashion. What I've asked him to do this time is to make it really tight, so lots and lots of holes, simply because sandy soil, I want to get as much seed as I can in a good seed bed, so we can then cover it with top dressing. Johnny's over the back there. He's using the Landsy, or the T-strain as we call it, and he's just top dressing that last teardrop bit over there we've done. But today has gone unusually problem free. The last few big ones we've done, we've had an issue. Either Simon's broken something, or Johnny's broken something, or I've broken something, or we've forgotten something, or something's fallen apart. But today, so far, fingers crossed, it's gone really well. And I'm really pleased with this lawn. And the reason I'm really pleased with this lawn is because already it's looking so much better. Because it's sandy soil, as we've scarified it, and as we've gone over the moat, we've actually leveled it out naturally because the soil just moves around. But as I said, the key thing is here is hydration and water, and once we've completed the job, the client is well versed in how much he has to water this. But I'm pretty sure that when we get this germinated and the grass starts to grow, as we go into the colder, wetter period, we have germination, this lawn is going to look amazing. So we'll stick you back on time lapse for the final part, and then that'll be Mark, Simon and Johnny signing off. Adios. So we're now on the final part of the renovation. In front of you can see Brian, he's ready to be filled with our sieved organic compost top dressing. But the renovation's gone really, really well. Simon's aerated really tight herringbone fashion, so we can get thousands of holes. Johnny's just doing a pre-seed fertiliser over there on the teardrop we've done. And so the final stint now is just a top dress, feed it, wet and agent seaweed, and then just back to the client for them to take care of it, and we'll be back in about 6 weeks to make sure that all is in order. But I am really pleased with this lawn. So far, so good. And I just cannot wait to see how this turns out in a couple of months, because I've got a feeling it's going to be outstanding. But thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and share, and catch you another time. It's Mark from the Lawnologist. Simon and Johnny signing off. Adios. So there we go. About 8 weeks of the day since the renovation was complete, and we now have a lawn. Now, this lawn is going to need constant titivation, simply because the soil profile is so sandy. It's going to be prone to weeds, it's going to be prone to dehydration. We have put down a specialist blender grass, as I've already explained. But actually, as it goes, I'm pretty chuffed with the result here so far. We've got coverage, probably need a bit more of a seeding in spring. Overall, it's pretty damn good, and the customer's happy, which is the main thing. Now, this lawn will stick with a bespoke tailored lawn care plan that we've designed specifically for the soil profile. So that means that we'll be using slightly different micronutrients, slightly different fertilisers, plenty of biostimulants, just to keep it healthy. Because the issue we have here, as we go into spring and the wet weather starts again, is anything we put down is going to leach through quite quickly because it's on sandy soil. So we're going to start thinking about how we're going to combat that and keep this new lawn healthy and make sure it thrives in spring, because that's the key point. That's the telling point when things start to dry out towards the end of spring and the summer, how this lawn is going to cope. Pretty confident we can keep it good, but it's just going to need some work and something a little bit different to the other lawns we deal with. Anyway, this one can be signed off as another victim of the lawnologist. I'm getting back in the van. It's cold, it's a bit wet. I need a coffee, and I'll catch you later. Adios.